Now I have to introduce the introducer, because our chairman will have a presentation regarding what the Association for Vertical Farming does in Europe and globally. So he's just take this, I will find it.
While we do this, maybe we've been sitting down for a while. It's good for concentration, is breathing and blood circulation. So if you stand up and take 3 deep breaths, you're gonna be super energized, you're gonna be super attached. Come on, everybody. And 3 deep breaths.
I was waiting.
All right. What do you say? That's true. You wake up, take a couple of deep breaths, very important. And you can sit down a bit again and be fully concentrated. Very important. I like to do this when I give a presentation.
Ready?
All right, thank you. Yes, it works. All right, we already had some very interesting conversations and presentations, starting from the big vision to the really applied technology, which is very important. I would like to add this via international collaboration. How does that come into picture? Why is it important? Who of you knows Leonardo DiCaprio? He has an Italian name, he's kind of. And who of you has seen his last movie, Before the Flood? I think a lot of people have seen it. Me too. I had to see it, as I try to live as ecological as possible. You know, you have to see what the latest trends are, what the latest vision, the mainstream ideas of ecological things. And I watched it and I had kind of a double feeling. In the beginning, it's like 10 years after Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth. It shows the good evolution of, actually that climate change is happening. It's good proof. But on the other hand, I didn't see really an evolution in the mindset towards global warming and all the big problems our planet is facing, or the big challenges. The mindset is still very similar, still very depressing. It's like, we have to fight climate change, we have to stop this, and it's a big world problem, and we're coming 7 billion, and we're gonna be 9 billion. The problem is, it's way too big, it's very hard to solve, and it's kind of depressing. And in my opinion, we should not be doing this that way. If I would go to Leonardo, I would say, we should not be sad about this, we should just accept it. Because when you accept it, you can do something about it. If you accept it, you can start creating something. You can start creating something beautiful. And you can start creating a society where actually global warming is happening. And it's going to bring some challenges, but we can overcome them. If we create something nice, if we create a nice society. And of course, for the farming is a big part of that. That's where I'm coming at. I didn't prepare very well, damn it. So what to create that, we first have to know what is wrong. And I just like to use this slide because it shows the problem. It shows more than you think. It shows a linear economical mindset where we just use a lot of resources, have a lot of waste, but also global warming is in here. Fossil fuel, CO2, we dig for fossil fuels, we use them and we throw them in the air. Pollution is not necessarily tangible. So there's a lot of our problems in there. What is the solution towards this? This shows also how can you change something like this? How can we as normal people be in this system and change it in a way? And in a way, we need to find a system where everybody can change their city, can change society, can have an impact on their society, and can build a really resilient society, because the society is built out of individuals. We are each individuals. We have the power to do this. But in this system, we cannot. We are powerless. Luckily for us, there's something called circular economy and something called blue economy, cradle to cradle, stuff like this. I like to use the Ellen MacArthur Foundation circular economy diagram because it shows really nicely what is all possible. On the left you have the biological materials, on the right side the technical materials. And what is very good, what is very empowering, is that you don't have to do everything. You can just take a little part here. You can do maintenance, you can do reusing, refurbishing, you can do anaerobic digestion. You just take yourself, your company, or whatever you do in life, you can do it. And this is not everything you can do to be a part of the solution, to be a part of a resilient society. This is just, you know, a suggestion, let's say. Where I'm coming at is vertical farming. Why is vertical farming so powerful? Because basically it touches everything on this diagram. It goes from biological to the building materials to the technical materials, the food, water, energy nexus, and also shelter, fundaments, basics of our society. If we can change those basics, if we can change the society at its core, we can do everything. We can put ourselves on Mars, we can put ourselves on the moon, we can go interstellar, whatever. We can do everything if we can just change it, if we can empower each individual in our society. I just like to put this in this and enjoy the view of a vertical farm and how cities could look like. Just so very inspiring, very inspiring. But how do we do it now? How do we change the cities? Do we have examples? We already got some good examples by Dixon Despommier. And we already got a good example of how we can use circular economy via Bill. But this is an actual example of the plant in Chicago. And they have this beautiful diagram where they integrate everything, small scale. They have aquaponics there, the plants and the fish together. But every waste, the food waste or the fish waste, goes into the anaerobic digester. You also have a brewery. This could be big in Belgium. I'm from Belgium. We have a lot of breweries. So we can use all the spent grain to grow some mushrooms. And all the waste from that goes also in the anaerobic digester. And the whole building, this building, is powered by the biogas and is warmed by the biogas. Oh, and also the CO2, by burning the biogas, is used to fertilize the plant. That's like CO2. And there's also algae in there. You know, it's a lot of possibilities here. This is, of course, a small system. We're talking about vertical farms, we're talking about cities. This can be big, and it's possible to go big. This is the urban farmers from Switzerland. This is their farm in Den Haag, which is huge. It's on the 7th floor. It's a big greenhouse, 2,000 square meters. On the 6th floor, they do fish culture. So it's aquaponics. And if you look at this, and then go to this one, see they're clapping even next doors. You see vertical farming skyscrapers are not so far away. This has been finished in May, and this picture is still in construction, but this has been finished in May last year. So it's happening. Clapping, very nice. So this is the next level, when you control everything, even the light in vertical farming, which also brings back, if you do this, you want to know what goes in, what goes out. If you have this kind of system, complete controlled environment, you know what goes in and what goes out, which makes it easy to make a kind of ecosystem inside a city. There's less variables to have, there's less chaos, you know more what's happening. But it's not only plants. I've been hearing Dixon said only plants, aquaponics, hydroponics. We've been talking about insects, but this is also an amazing creature, the mushroom. And they are good for two reasons. Good for vertical farming for two reasons, good for growing in cities. They are nature's waste recyclers. They organic waste recyclers. And we have a lot of organic waste in our society. This is Permafungi from Brussels, one of the 100 companies all over the world who's growing mushrooms on coffee waste. I hope you've heard of that story. If you have not, research blue economy, growing mushrooms on coffee waste. Another good thing about mushrooms is that they don't need light. They don't do photosynthesis, so they don't need light. These mushroom, the oyster mushroom, does like a little bit of light to have a nice shape, to have some extra nutrients or secondary metabolites. I'm not a super expert in mushrooms, but I know this a bit. So mushrooms have high value for vertical farming and are going to be a big future of vertical farming. I can assure you that. And we already talked about insects. This is also very for the AQUAFARM fair for fish. This is very important. Insects, as mushrooms, they are organic waste recyclers, so recyclers, we can, that was too fast. They are organic waste recyclers, so they can recycle all the organic waste in cities, in our whole society. And moreover, they also don't need light, which is also positive. You don't need to put a lot of energy into, growing plants. This is a big, I talked a lot to people about vertical farming. They say, you need a lot of energy for vertical farms. Yes and no. We just need to diversify in our crops. We need to use the sunlight that's available, but we don't need to build 50-story high buildings who need basically a nuclear reactor to power them. That's not how we want to change our society, I would say. We need to use the energy that's available, and organic waste is energy. And we can use that energy, transform it into insects who are high in proteins, high in lipids, and who can be used in many different ways. They can be used to feed fish, feed chickens, feed humans, and they can be used in different industries like cosmetics, lubricants, industry, stuff like this. So this is ProDeFarm, by the way, but in Belgium we have a very upcoming research company called Millibeter who's doing research in black soldier flies, and these guys basically eat everything. They except cellulose. For that we have mushrooms. So we need a lot of all of this. We need a lot of this, and fast, to change our society, to change the global. So we need international collaboration. But what are the benefits of international collaboration? There's a lot. It needs to be done. It's needed, but how do we do it? Why do we do it? And what is in it for you? The title of my presentation was, how can international collaboration help you? I'm serious about this. It can help you. It can help everybody. And that's this different mindset. This is a different system we need. Is how can you help yourself and help the whole world at the same time? It's possible. I'm going to prove it to you just now. So the first benefit of vertical farming, international collaboration, there's more and faster learning. Basically, that is also thanks to the internet. I learned a lot via the internet. Thank you, internet. Now you don't need a degree basically to become an expert. It's good to have a degree. I'm seeing someone. It's good to have a degree. I have my degree too. It gave me a very good insight. It gave me talk to professors, talk to experts, and a good connection. But you can also, basically, if you live in Africa, if you don't have, if you cannot go to university or cannot pay the money to come to Europe or US or to go to a good university, you have the internet. You can empower yourself. It's all about empowerment. We need to empower as many people as possible. So we need to empower learning. You can empower yourself by learning. The second benefit is that a challenge is solved locally is also actually many challenges solved globally. And this can help you because if you have a challenge, you just go on the internet or you go via an international organization and you ask the question, I have this problem, has anybody had the same one? Can you help me? I have this problem, I have a disease in my plants, how do I solve it? And then you have an international community, a global community, that can help you solve this problem. And this goes for everything. And then you have the next part. If nobody ever had the challenge and there is a problem, how do you go about it? Then you come together and you co-create something. You co-create a solution. You bring your minds together. You bring someone from India, from Europe, from the US. You bring their different points of view on life together, and they find a solution. And not only views on life or culture, you also have the different areas, like if you go into marketing, if you go to business, we need scientists, we need all different areas, and then you can co-create internationally. So this holds a lot of possibilities. The Association for Vertical Farming, who are we? We are an international organization fostering sustainable growth of the vertical farming industry. We want to create that vision, that the beautiful idea that vertical farming holds, the potential that vertical farming holds. We want to make it happen, but for that we need many people to work together, to co-create together, to solve the challenge together. And we bring together companies, institutions, individuals, from big experts to amateurs. I started out as an amateur, so I was one of the amateurs. Still am a bit of an amateur, I would say. But I can talk to a lot of, I have my own vision, and I can bring that together with professors, with big multinationals, and together we co-create stuff. How do we do it? Who are we? That's the first one. Who are we? We're located all over the world. We started from Europe and US, so mostly we are located there, but we're getting into China, Japan, and India, Africa. Like Dixon said, there's a lot of vertical farms in Japan and China, but we're doing our best to get to get our network there, to work together and solve challenges together. Basically, that's what we want to do. Which companies? We go from Philips, Microsoft, big multinationals, to Kraft in India, Center for Research in Alternative Farming Technologies, startup Urban Crops, who's manufacturing, Blue Planet Consulting, who is a consulting company in urban farming, vertical farming, Diglad in Japan. These are many companies. We also have universities like Wageningen University just became member, so we're very excited. These are the leading horticulture university, so that's good. And how do we do? Don't be too much overwhelmed by this picture. It's just to show the structure of the AVF. We just restructured the AVF because we want to do better in solving the challenges. What is the core? What is the core of the AVF are the project groups. Every white box is a project group, is a challenge we are putting the minds together and solve it. A project group is basically a group of experts who come together weekly, bi-weekly, sometimes monthly, and solve a specific challenge, like putting online an education, that's in department, putting online the education for vertical farming, centralize a little bit of the knowledge that's out there. Then we have a sustainability certification project group, which I talked about in the beginning. There was a question about what but certification with vertical farming, with indoor farming. It's not certified. Where do we get it? We know the problem, so we put together the experts, and they try to solve it together. And another one, you can see one of the divisions that's very big. We divide them in divisions. Is events, of course. We help events like this, but we organize a lot of them ourselves. For example, the AVF Summit last year in Amsterdam. This is co-creation. We are not a big company. We are just an organization of really passionate people who want to bring each other together. This was organized with a core team of 6 people, and in the end 30 volunteers were there. And we did this in our free time, but we made a really professional and good event. And we do not only organize conferences, we do workshops, info days. We help conferences, exhibitions like AQUAFARM Fair. And the next one in Italy, we're in Italy in May, the 8th till the 11th. We're helping at Seeds and Chips. We're organizing a conference there, so write it in your agenda. 8th till 11th, be in Milan. It's going to be amazing. Dixon, you're going to be there too, right? Voila. Next to events, of course, this is another project group, one close to my heart, and we already talked about this too. This is AVF AMI, standing for aquaponics, mushrooms, and insects. We actually added another one, algae, but more on that later. And you can see this was our first milestone where we, brought together some experts, some engaging people. And we made, what do plants need, what's the input and the output, what do insect needs, what do mushroom need, and now we're looking to go further into, what is happening at the moment, what are the mushroom techniques that are being used, and how can we connect them to the other. That's what we're working on at the moment. This is actually the sustainability vision that we want to see happening for vertical farming, so we put a project group around it. And this one, this is the plant recipe standardization project group. In vertical farming, in closed environment agriculture, this is about closed environment agriculture. If you want to grow a plant, you want to know how to grow, you want to know the amount of light you want to give, you want to know the temperature. And if you know everything, well, you don't know, and you basically have from seed to plant, you have a recipe, like cooking a meal, but then you grow a plant, you have a recipe. Many companies all over the world are doing this, and there's no standardization. So what did we do? We said, okay, who's interested in making a standard for the whole world? Let's come together and make this standard for a recipe, so that you don't have 100 different ways of making that plant recipe. Let's just collaborate and make it together. Which brings us to the co-creation part, a very big part. And I put a picture of a library, because in the end, if you bring those companies together, some of the companies want to donate their plant recipes and say, if someone starts with vertical farming, with their own indoor farm, and they have no background whatsoever, maybe they're marketeers, maybe they're financiers, but they want to grow plants, and they have their vertical farm. Or you do research for a couple of months and find your own plant recipe, or you go to the library with plant recipes and know how to grow your basil in that way. You want it to have that taste, you want it to grow that fast. That's what we want to do. We want to co-create this kind of library so that more people can start vertical farming, start growing plants, start growing mushrooms. This is how how everybody contributes to international collaboration, but at the same time also taps into that network. And that's what the association is. We are a big network, and everybody who contributes something to the network gets way more back. That's what we want to do. That's what we want to try with the association. And I hope anybody in this room is inspired, to help yourself and help a global movement to really build more vertical farms, to make our cities sustainable, to make our whole planet sustainable, and to go to Mars. Basically, that's it. So that's what I want to end with, and I thank you very much. And we're not doing questions. I'm going to immediately introduce our next speaker.